Hey there folks, and welcome into the Truck King YouTube channel. This right here is the 2025 Subaru Outback, and we just recently had a close look at the redesigned Subaru Forester. Now in this video, I just want to talk about the differences and why you might go for one product over the other. And then yeah, it is snowing pretty good today, so you know we're going to test the all-wheel drive here. Make sure you stay tuned. Let's start by talking about powertrain. So in our Outback Premier XT here today, we have the 2.4 liter turbocharged boxer 4-cylinder engine. Here it's making 260 horsepower and 277 pound-feet of torque. And yes, that is a full 80 horsepower and 100 pound-feet more than you're gonna find in the base engine in the Outback and in the engine in the Forester. So if you're straight up just looking for more power, you have to step up to the Outback to get this turbocharged engine, and all that power goes through a CVT in all those cases. Let's talk about the size right now, because that has to be the biggest, no pun intended, difference between the Outback and the Forester. So the Outback is the larger vehicle, roughly 9 inches longer and 2 inches wider than the Forester. One of the styling differences though is that the Forester is a little boxier, so it's actually 2 inches taller than the Outback. It has that higher roof line on it. And then when it comes to the other numbers like ground clearance, approach, all those off-road numbers, they are basically the exact same. If you do step up to the wilderness models, you're going to get a little bit more clearance out of an Outback, but it's not a massive difference. So yes, when it comes to sizing, the Outback is the physically larger vehicle, but what does that mean for interior space? Let's go look. Let's take a look at the passenger space back here now. So first of all, I like to start with the baby seat situation. There is lower latch on the driver's side and on the passenger side, and there's 3 top tethers along this bench. Now on paper, the Outback here has 39.5 inches of legroom compared to the Forester, which has 39.4 inches. So it's a 0.1 inch difference, and just sort of seat of the pants, yeah, it feels basically the exact same as the Forester when it comes to legroom. And that is to say there's enough of it. I stand at 6'2", and this is my driving position, and you can see my knees have plenty of space. Now the one thing I do notice though is the headroom. I do have enough here in the Outback, but this is actually listed with 1/2 inch less headroom than the Forester, and that just has to do with the shape of them. The Forester is a little boxier. The Outback here has that long, low roof line. So yes, you'll get a bit more headspace out of a Forester, but even still, I do have enough room here. So yeah, definitely a large back seat, large enough for a larger than full-size adult. Now let's talk about the amenities. I do have a heated second row, which is very nice, USB-C and USB-A ports. I do get my own vents back here for HVAC as well. And I just also want to say these are really comfortable leather seats. I don't usually comment on second row comfort, but these are noticeably comfortable. Now let's go look at the cargo space. So the story back here is kind of the same. When it comes to the cubic feet measurement, the difference between the Outback and the Forester really isn't very much. You can see the differences right here. Now what you're really going to notice though in the real world is that the Outback has a much longer floor back here. I mentioned it's 9 inches longer. A lot of that space is back here on this tray. So yes, you are getting more, I would say, usable cargo space. The reason the numbers are so close is the Forester has more room up top. So if you're hauling things that are sort of short and tall, the Forester might be better for you. If you want more floor space, the Outback is definitely going to be better. Now talking about features, we do have a little storage bin over here with a little bit of a net on it so you can jam some stuff in there. Plus there is 12-volt power here at the back, which is nice. And then we can take a look under this big rubber floor mat here. You also get a little bit of underfloor storage, all the storage for your tools, and a spare tire down below. So nice to have a real spare there too. So yes, the numbers definitely don't tell the whole story here when it comes to storage, but overall, I do think the Outback has more usable space in the back. Now let's jump into some all-wheel drive testing here, folks, and today's a perfect day. I've got a frozen dirt road here, which has a layer of ice on it and a fresh layer of snow, so things are slippery. Now the Outback we have today does have winter tires on it, so that's gonna help, but I'm always just curious as to how the vehicle reacts. What does traction control do? How does it roll on the power or cut the power? Because every all-wheel drive system is a little different. So right now we're just in drive, regular mode, nothing is turned on. I'm just gonna floor it and let's see what the Outback does. Ready? In 3, 2, 1, go. Really nice. Really nice. So we recently did this exact same test with a Toyota RAV4 and a Honda CR-V, and I can tell you the noticeable difference for me is how the Subaru pulls dead straight. It doesn't have that weird moment where it kind of jerks you one side to the other, because those systems, Toyota and Honda, they are reactive systems. They have to start slipping in the front end to then send power to the back, whereas the Subaru, with the full-time symmetrical all-wheel drive, means when I floor it, all the tires are getting power right from the get-go. So the other thing the Subaru didn't do was cut my power very much. Once there was some slip, yeah, I could feel it sort of backing off the throttle, but for the most part, I was able to accelerate exactly as I wanted to. And so for all of those reasons, this is a solid system in the snow because it is proactive and not reactive. You just never get any of those weird feelings, like I said, pulling one direction or the other. But now, I do want to try out one of the Subaru's tricks, which is X mode. So X mode, granted, is more of like a real off-road mode, but I do want to see what the difference is. And generally, something like an X mode is going to allow more wheel spin, because if you are in the mud or the sand, you do want to let those wheels spin. So let's turn on X mode, and we'll do the exact same thing, and we'll feel the difference. And taking off, X mode in 3, 2, 1, go. Ooh, yeah. So that was really quite similar. I'm not going to say there was a massive difference. The difference was that in normal mode, when it did cut my power, when things started to spin, in X mode, it did not feel like it cut the power whatsoever. So I was able to accelerate at full speed. I actually wouldn't recommend that for safe, snowy driving. You do want the power, the traction control, I should say, to intervene if it needs to. So yeah, X mode is more for if you're stuck, if you're in something really gnarly. That's the good thing about the Subaru. Just in normal mode, the all-wheel drive is really competent and is just going to help you feel safe and secure on the road. Okay, folks, now we're here driving in the Outback, and I should mention one other thing about that all-wheel drive test. So I put it in X mode when I took off, but actually when you do hit a certain speed, X mode shuts off automatically, so it is speed limited. So once again, it's really not the kind of mode you would be driving around on the roads with. It's more of that sort of extreme off-road mode if you need it. Now, let's talk about the way this thing drives, and you probably won't be surprised to hear me tell you it drives just like the Forester does. The wheelbase is only 3 inches longer here, so maybe it's a slightly smoother ride, but it is not a massive difference. They really feel super similar from behind the wheel in terms of size and driving dynamics. They're both comfortable, they're both quiet, all of that stuff. I will say though, I mean, you even kind of heard me giggle when I took off doing the all-wheel drive test. The added horsepower here is welcome. It's really nice to have this turbocharged engine. That was maybe my one complaint about the Forester, was the power felt like just enough, but it definitely never felt like, whoa, this thing is quick. Whereas this Outback, yeah, it's legitimately quick. So if power is a big concern for you, you know, the choice has pretty much already been made for you. But outside of that power plant, you're really not going to notice just about anything else when it comes to the driving experience. Now, talking interior, yeah, even in the front here, I do feel slightly less headroom. So the interior here in the Outback almost feels more cramped, and that's just you know, the way it's designed. It doesn't have that bubbly, boxy feel that the Forester did. But then again, the Outback, yeah, this is the modern day station wagon. That's definitely how I look at the Outback, especially comparing it to the Forester. Forester's going more for that kind of classic, you know, compact SUV look. Outback is sticking with its station wagon roots, so that just means the roof is going to be a little bit lower, a little closer into your head. And then otherwise in the interior, these things are the exact same. If you just showed me this dash and I couldn't see anything else around me, I could not tell you if this was a Forester or an Outback. And you know what? A lot of companies have done this throughout the years. I think the German brands were criticized for it the most, of sort of having one interior layout and then you just apply it to all of your vehicles. But that's absolutely what it feels like Subaru has done here. They've taken a formula that works, they've worked all the kinks out of it, it's good, and then just reuse it over and over and over. So yeah, you know what? Even though you're not going to get the difference in the way the interior looks, I wouldn't complain about it because it's functional and it works well. Specifically, I'm talking about things like Starlink. It's updated now, so the infotainment's a bit quicker. The screen looks really nice. I like that I still have HVAC buttons over here rather than just putting all of the HVAC into the screen. You still have the volume knob. I still have gauges in front of me. They haven't gone to that full digital cluster like a lot of brands, but then that small info screen in between the gauges, it's enough to give you all that information that you need. Yeah, everything's here that you could want. So smart interior design by Subaru. And if you want to feel special, yeah, you're not going to feel special driving one of these over the other because they feel the exact same. But if you want something that works, it's a good interior. It's also very clear from behind the wheel that Subaru is concerned with safety. It feels like more so than most other brands these days. One good example, when I hit the camera view button down here, nothing happens when I'm on the move. And that's a safety thing. Subaru is saying, no, you shouldn't be looking at your cameras while you're on the move. Just about every other brand has gone away from that. So yes, Subaru still feels more safety conscious than other brands. And then they have their eyesight system. Now, you know what? This is subjective whether you like this stuff or not. I always like to say this system works really well. It sees the lines well. It really can hold you right in that lane. I do like those aspects of it. I like the adaptive cruise control. It seems to detect the vehicles in front of you right away. All of that stuff works well. It just feels kind of overbearing to me. I don't like a system that's sort of pulling the wheel out of my hands, and I feel like the eyesight system, even more so than others, it's putting more torque into that wheel. So when I'm cruising on the highway, it's always yanking at my hands, and personally, I just get very uncomfortable with it, so I end up turning it all off. Now, luckily, you can turn it off. Subaru still gives you that option. So yeah, I go ahead and turn it off. This is going to be subjective. It's going to be whether or not you sort of like the car doing more driving for you or you want to drive, but it does work well. The one system though I don't really love is the eye monitor in here. So it's actually watching my eyes to make sure I'm keeping them on the road. Now, granted, that is a good safety function. We all know that everyone can get distracted these days, so it's nice for the car to say, hey man, pay attention. I just feel like it's too sensitive here. I turn around to see my kids in the back, it gets mad at me. I drink my coffee for too long because it blocks my eyes and it gets mad at me. So yeah, I don't know, it just got annoying after a while where I'm like, Subaru, I am paying attention. Stop telling me to pay attention. So overbearing is a word I like to use with the eyesight system. If you want that extra layer of safety, it's absolutely here, but it can get a little bit annoying. Well, folks, we have come to the end of this video, and really there are two big takeaways for me. One of them is that yes, symmetrical all-wheel drive does mean something. It's not just marketing speak. It is a really solid system and maybe a little bit better than what the competitors offer. And then number two, the Outback and the Forester are really similar. I think there's two things that might draw you to the Outback. First of all, the turbocharged power, it does feel good. Second of all, the longer floor in the rear, which is just gonna offer more usable space. If those things matter to you, go Outback. If you don't care, save your money and go with the Forester because you're getting a really similar vehicle. So yeah, that's it for this one. Now, of course, I need to hear from you. Drop in the comments. Let me know what you think of this Outback and how it compares to the Forester. As always, while you're down there leaving that comment, don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe, hit join to become a member of Truck King, and then come right back here to the channel to see what we're testing next. See ya.